greatest likable heel we've ever seen? Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking president of the United States.
Yeah.
Likable heel.
Yeah.
Cool heel.
I mean, cool heel,
Yeah.
You will not convince me that Vince McMahon did not run that campaign in 2016.
I was just going to ask you, do you think Trump learned from Vince anything?
I believe Vince ran that. I believe Vince was the greatest influence. Vince's number one thing, I mean, yes, it is business but and entertainment, but it's psychology. I mean, Vince is taking a product that he's telling you is fake and then making you cry when your guy doesn't win because you forgot that it's fake and buy a T-shirt on your way out. I mean, his ability to understand psychology. You might remember when Trump had the tape came out with Billy Bush and he's going to grab him. And
then the 3 chicks showed up.
Yeah. That was 11 days before the campaign. Just to remind you guys, it was over. I remember where I was when I got the phone call. It was over. Everyone pulled out. Guys that had put money in didn't send the checks. They canceled the check. It was over. Vince McMahon put $8 million in.
Whoa.
With 11 days left, Vince sent him $8 million. Vince is the only person to send him.
And why? What was his, was he like, I think.
Vince said, we're not losing. He said, we're not losing. This is not, we're not losing. It's not over yet. Not even close. And when Trump got in, there was no mention of this, but I mean, he had catchphrases. Yeah, he had lock them up. He started giving them nicknames. He started having the same songs, and it was like walkout music, and he was having chants from the crowd. It was his campaign was exactly the way Vince promotes a WrestleMania, and I do mean exactly. And then as soon as Trump got hired, it was on the first day, which is not literal, but I mean, it's one of his first assignments was Linda. She got appointed small business, which is what Vince just wants her gone. He just wants her out of the house, right? You got the boys and girls, could just get her to D.C.
Oh,
we're good.
Linda's his wife.
Yeah.
Oh, he hires her. Oh.
Yeah, right away. I mean like that. He appointed McMahon.
So he can fuck dude wrestlers.
Which, by the way, was a good appointment.
Yeah.
I mean, she's solid. She's real solid. No, it's very interesting. And one of the reasons I keep bringing Vince up, because I felt like we were talking about psychology earlier. Connor, we started with that. Why does that formula work?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is the master. This is Vince is truly, he can evoke that emotion. He can sell out arenas. It's a stunning thing.
So that's the thing that impresses me about Vince and other people that can curate this type of promotion. There are certain people who are superstars. And that's not to say that they don't know it and they can lean into it and create these moments. But there are some people that can't help themselves, right? They're just saying outlandish things all the time. They just have no filter. We don't really know how in control of Tyson's celebrity he is. I have great admiration for what he's achieved, but there might be things that he says that he is not trying to be entertaining to become the most entertaining things. Everything Vince has done is curated. Yep. That to me is the most impressive. When you are making the things that we usually only like when they're authentic.
Up to a year in advance.
I mean,
add that to your...
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. No, it truly is a stunning thing. And then adapting through different times. I mean, Vince had to appeal to junior high kids.
Yeah. Since we're kids.
Yeah. And now it's not junior high kids.
And now you're carrying them.
Yeah. So, I mean, different markets and different times.
I waited online to buy a book for The Rock where he was doing a signing at Tower Books. Remember Tower?
Yeah.
And I remember just saying there, I wait online. I've seen this massive line around the block where they're like kids that are buying books. This is before the Harry Potter era where like reading was like cool. This is during the era where like, oh, reading for nerd. Like you were like almost rejecting anything that had like an intellectual, like a spin to it. We're online to buy this fucking The Rock book. And I'm sitting there and I'm like a kid, so you're not really reflecting on it that much. But I'm like, what the fuck is going on? The line, people are practicing their Rock impressions because they're going to do it.
When they get to him? Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And I'm looking at this, and this is all... Now, obviously, tons of credit to The Rock for this, but there's also credit for the boss for recognizing what he has and leaning into it. Obviously, the guy's... I don't know, has he been booked for the shit that he did? Is he? Did he go to jail for any of the things he did, Vince?
No,
nothing. Right?
No, not even facing that.
It's not even facing. Okay, so but you'd still want to sit down. And you want to have one of these combos where it's just like break down what you know about human beings. The first time you sat down here, that was the first thing I asked. I was like, you get something. Yep. You get something about human beings that gives you a huge advantage in this game that these other guys try to create. And you called it out about the post-fight conference. They're like, okay, if I have my one witty line, I'm good.
Yep.
I don't see you break character during that during the post fights.
Right.
Like I'll look at your post fights. If Joel asks you a question, it don't matter what he asks you. You're going to say what the fuck you're going to say.
That's right. And I appreciate that. Yeah. And I tell people, don't answer. You're not here to answer questions. You're here to handle questions. Like let him ask the question. And then here's what you go right into. And you're right. I never broke character because I was always ready for it, but I wanted more. Yeah. I was disappointed when Rogan would bring the mic down. I was like, no, more. Like this is fun. The fight's not fun.
Yeah, that's the scary hard shit. Yeah,
this is the fun. I got the crowd. Like this is my moment. When they ended, I mean, that's when you feel okay. It's over, and now I got to redo this whole thing just to get those 90 seconds. The only part of this I enjoyed was those 90 seconds, and now they're gone.
So why don't you be part of wrestling in some way? To me, it's just such a no-brainer. You understand psychology of it. You already have the mic skills. You have the athleticism if you need to do it, but you could also do something to what like Vince and now I guess what Triple H are doing, where it's not as much active actual wrestling and it's more character building.
I had tried to pursue that at one time. I was still in college, WCW, and they had something called a power plant, and they would advertise it right during wrestling. And you went out there for a tryout, and if they accepted you, then you paid them. It was kind of like this business and marketing thing. But I didn't know that. I was a sophomore. I called the number. I got my tryout date, and I went out there, and I made it. Only me and one other guy made it. It was hard. Oh my goodness, it was. I was an NCAA All-American, so I was in really good shape. I barely got through this thing. This was required such mental toughness. It was so hard. We had to do 3 things, guys, and this was for 3 days, 2 full days, and then the Sunday was a half day. But there was a bucket. 5-gallon bucket, you put it upside down. I remember, and when you do your squat, you got to come up on your toes, you got to throw your hands up, and you don't stop until you sit down on the bucket. And the reason I remember that is the bucket had a little lip, and we did so many of these damn squats, you can't see the bucket, so it was cutting into all of our legs. You did 50 of those. I apologize. You did 25 of those, 25 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and then you got up and you did it again, and you got up and did it again. When you've had enough, go home. And you don't come back. It was like Navy SEAL-esque. And I mean, guys were out of there early. He's great big steroid guy. I mean, really early. And we just did sit-ups and squats and push-ups. We got 30 minutes for lunch, and we went back and did sit. And that is all that we did. And we did it the next day. And the third day, it's all we did. And then they took us to the parking lot. And we did some sprints as well. But by then, everybody was gone. It was just me and the other guy were the only ones that showed up on the third day. We made it through. They're like, you two were invited back. Which invited back, man, now you pay us money. Man, it was a business ploy, but it was really difficult. And that was my only foray. That when I came out of college, the internet was just coming around. There was no social media, and people didn't have phones. My point is, contacting someone was hard back then.
But what about now?
You would have had to really known somebody.
But why not
well, now I got ESPN. I got my thing going with USC and I'm not against it, but by the way, I guess maybe a more candid answer is I don't know how. I don't know who to contact.
Well, it feels like it's owned by.
Yeah. Do I go to Triple H, that guy that I just told you was banging China? Boy.
Yeah.
Do I go to him?
Maybe Vince.
Or do I call Stephanie, who I said was the other woman, and then shouldn't be upset when there became another woman?
Yeah.
Are they?
I feel like they're okay.
They should know character building.
Yeah, I don't.
They should know character building.
I think at a certain position, owner of the Dallas Cowboys, somewhat similar. Jerry Jones, whatever you say about him, he doesn't care because he knows it's all good in the end.
Sure.
Everything is good for me. I think Vince is the more so even probably, and then he probably passed that on to the kids. Whatever they say about you, it's okay. Yeah. It's good.
I
good,
agree.
bad, ugly, it's good.
I agree. And a lot of guys say that but they don't mean it.
Yeah.
They get
most
their
of us
feelings.
don't.
No, most of us don't mean it. Yeah. But you are correct. Can I just say one more thing? I mean, if we're going to do that Vince thing, we're going to talk about everything that he went through. And I'm glad that we did because nobody else is. Nobody has spoken up for Brock Lesnar. Well, but he went through, he lost his company.
What happened with Brock?
They have canceled Brock. Brock is alleged, not from the person, by the way. We've heard somebody else say that the person said, which quite frankly I don't doubt, but it's still hearsay, that Brock sent naughty text messages. Nothing more. Not confirmed. As a matter of fact, it is confirmed that Brock has never met this human being. As a matter of fact, it's confirmed that Brock has never spoke to this human being. It is believed that a naughty text came from a number that is believed to be Brock's. They canceled him, and I mean out. He will never come back. He went down with Vince, so he's tied to Vince. Everything that Vince has done, Brock is now tied. Nobody has spoken up for him. Nobody's defended him. Now Brock doesn't have a friend in the media because Brock's never done a damn thing for anybody else. But nobody has been Me Too'd. And to think that he doesn't have one friend that will speak up and just say, hey, by the way, you don't even know it's him. You haven't even asked him if it's him. He hasn't even commented. The person in question didn't complain about it. She allegedly told someone else who wrote about it on a phone number that has never been tied to Brock.
How does this even enter?
Allegedly, and by the way, they were, so I don't know if you guys know the story, but allegedly they were like planning to meet. And Brock was doing, he was being, whoever this person was, they were being like a normal guy would, hey, send me a pay, and then upping it. Well, now send this and send that, and what if I did this? And
is this alleged woman?
Let's get the killer and kill a homeless person. I mean, they just kept.
Wait, who says that? No,
I'm sorry.
No,
I was performing.
I know you were on a run.
That's Aziz. I took that's Aziz's thing. Kill the homeless person, and a great job, Aziz, by.
Oh wow! Now I'm just curious: is the alleged woman maybe the wife of somebody very important?
No. She worked in the office. She was a gal. She was in on it. She's actually not mad about it or claiming like from a sexual forced. Like there's no crime other than she had an NDA. She was owed $2 million. She got $1 million of it. The other $1 million didn't come. And she's like, you owe me $1 million, which by the way, she's right. It is very clear that she is owed $1 million. It's not clear why that money was pulled. Like what this has cost Vince when he could have just, that's a little bit unclear, but that is what happened. No, she is not going to the police and saying I was forced into anything. No.
Wow.
What was he, in what capacity was he involved before? Like before he got canceled?
And is that Vince?
Brock. What was Brock doing? Because
for them, he was their top draw.
No.
When he got canceled, he was their top draw?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could argue it was Roman Reigns, but I think it was Brock. You couldn't argue it was anybody other than Brock or Roman. No, he was the biggest thing. And he finally found a gimmick that he liked. He was playing like cowboy / butcher Brock.
Yeah.
He was cutting up meat in the back, but you could see his face. He was genuinely, for the first time, having fun. Brock, as much as people would look at Brock's life and go, I want that, he really didn't have fun. He doesn't travel well. He's very uncomfortable and he gets pulled in a lot of directions. He's got a social anxiety. He told people, even people that were close to him, I don't have a cell phone. But he just didn't want you to call him. And that was people close to him. Like people really believed he didn't have a cell. He's got it right in his pocket, but it was one of those things where he just like moved out in the middle of essentially nowhere, and I mean, that was just the life that he wanted. I only say that because what people looked at and go, well, what a superstar. He didn't want to be in the lines. He didn't want people patting him on the back and surrounding him. He didn't want anything more than to walk into those arenas and walk out. I mean, he'd wave to everybody and be nice, but it was one of those things, and he's actually done a lot for people that no one knows about. Like he's very loyal to the college that he graduated. He gave massive amounts of money and donations, which really helped people that he'll never get credit for. He doesn't want the credit. Yeah. But I'm just saying, to imagine that nobody spoke up for him in all this time.
What does that say?
He should be the one suing them for breach of contract. He should be going after them, defamation, everything. Yeah. How are you possibly? They've taken him off the website. When I talk about canceled, it's not that we don't assign him and put him back to work. They've taken like he doesn't exist. He was never. He's pulling off the video games, the DVDs that are out there, things that are online. His matches are gone.
Is he the sacrificial lamb so you don't go as hard at Vince and they can save some face and not have to oust their own father?
Do you think it could be something to some degree?
I just think they got to oust the reputation.
Sure.
So anything that falls in line with workplace harassment or abuse, you got to get that out of there. I
could
imagine, or you're just doing like you could be killing a story with another story.
Yeah. Right, because I believe it's the same woman that's also accusing Vince. That's what you said.
It's the same woman. Yes, but she has not come out. She has not spoken up and said Brock Lesnar did these things. She allegedly had told someone else, and then someone else had reported this to the media. And it was just a phone number. In fact, just to finish the story the way that it went, but Brock was escalating the text messages, and they had planned to meet. There was a hotel, and there's a whole thing was planned, and COVID hit, and the travel never happened. And they never met. He's never met her. He's never FaceTimed. He's never spoke. She has nothing to tie this to Brock. By the way, sure, it could have been Brock. I'm just talking about when you cancel a guy and you go against a contract, you take a multi-million-dollar contract aside from destroying a guy's reputation, and you did it on that. You did it on hearsay that is that weak. That's never happened. That's all I'm suggesting. And for one person until right now to not come to the media and speak up on Brock's behalf, not one single friend he made in 20 years.
Maybe it was Vince.
Come on.
Maybe it's Vince.
Vince.
You talking to my girl?
Yeah.
I wonder if it's Vince trying to poison the authority that's accusing him.
Sure.
And saying like, look, this girl's accusing a lot of people. She's calling everyone out. She's obviously not a trustworthy source.
But what if? Sorry, Tanner.
I don't know if that's the case, obviously, but I'm wondering if
possible.
the fact that they're connected seems suspicious to me.
Why doesn't?
Or sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
If she's fucking everybody, she's not being abused by Vince.
It's the same thing they did to
She's,
Kobe. Rest in
She
peace,
said that.
Yeah.
Yep. She has not claimed there was a crime. Yep.
So
it wasn't because there is some crime. Even if nobody knew one was being committed, there is some crime that you actually could tie Vince to, and federal prosecutors allegedly looked at it, decided not to. But when Brock was getting re-signed, they have Vince's text to this girl. And then they have these alleged texts from Brock. The Vinces are Vince, and the girl is the girl. And Vince was saying to her, hey, I'm doing a new deal with Brock. You're part of the deal. I have promised Brock you need to reach out to him now. And, yeah, and that did happen. And there was a renegotiate in the timeline where, and then all of a sudden you have this random unconfirmed number sending some naughty messages.
Allegedly.
Sending some naughty messages.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he didn't hide it. Yeah, Vince took a crap on her head. And
allegedly.
Allegedly, but not denied.
Now the Saudi deal
Allegedly,
makes sense.
It was like a group of guys.
That's
They all
good.
WWE. There was like a group of guys in a hotel, and it's
good.
unclear.
She shit on her head.
Yes.
What do you think that's
and
about?
I think he should only call her that from when he refers to her. He should
Shithead.
refer to her.
Shithead.
That's all he should ever refer to her as. Yes. But here's what's unclear: was it an accident? That's
Probably.
the part
Shitting on
that
her
is
head?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got in a weird position. It's like, he's 1,000 years old.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying it was like 69, but he was on top.
Maybe something like there was a group. There was a group that went
Yeah.
after this had happened. I don't know if they used a towel or like they didn't make it clear.
She ate prunes or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And they didn't make it clear. It's like, I really wish you would clear
Do you
that
think
up.
he was like
That's
loosened
really,
up by somebody
really,
first?
Really gross.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this was very normal culture in that.
Shitting on women's
Yeah.
heads.
Yeah.
Well-
I mean, the culture though that's going on. Yeah. Like the guys that are coming out and covering this and help to set Vince up, they're still there. They were part of the culture. Like they're still in leadership. It's one of these interesting things where all right, you put Brock down and you took the owner of the company. This is
guys
what you
were all
left.
part of it.
Yeah, it's one or the other though. I mean, are we cleaning house or are we not?
Apparently, Brock's text messages. I don't want to out this too much, but this is from a website that I found, an obscure website. The wrestler asked her to send a video of herself urinating.
Yep.
That's not even
Which
sexual.
how embarrassing.
That's not even sexual.
Yeah.
It's
And how embarrassing if you're Brock and that's like the thing that how embarrassing.
It's just a bodily function. It's not even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's straight up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
God bless.
after she did, allegedly, he called
That
her
makes
a
my
bitch.
foot fetish less weird.
Oh, really?
That's what this claims from the Wall Street Journal, I believe.
So she does send the video.
According to this,
And he goes, "You bitch." Something like
that's
that.
what this
Wow.
that's what this is alleging, which is the funniest way to respond to someone sending you.
It's a rough world.
She's like, "Fine, I'll do it for you, bitch." I mean, that's too good to me.
If you're AEW, why don't you just sign Brock? He's a massive draw.
Yeah.
That's why it's good. There's a second wrestling federation or league or whatever it is. But yeah, why doesn't AEW just scoop up Brock and really help the company?
I had never even thought of that. And yeah, there would be an extent to that for sure. And you could get Brock for enough dates, 4 or 5, something like that. He's probably not going to do many more than that. But I also wonder that with the WWE, like they have canceled him, but are they still sending him money? Is that why he's not going with AEW? Like, did they is to keep the? But it's a public company. We could find that out.
I wish we could ask
Question I
him. He
just
just
asked.
doesn't have a cell phone.
Yeah, that's exactly right. How you going to
That
get
is the
answers?
problem.
Yeah, unless you're a girl peeing, apparently you can't.
And then all of a sudden,
you
there's
can't get a
Cell
hold
phone
of.
shows up.
Yeah.
You can't get a hold of
Text
Brock. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's kind of it's a little bit of an unbelievable story. Whether you think that was Brock or not, I actually don't choose to weigh it on that. I tend to think it was.
know what's kind of funny
I'm just
is that-
sharing that. What kind of evidence is that?
Yeah, it's not cancelable.
But
Right.
with WWE, it's like there are all these storylines that happen with the characters, and you're like, these storylines are just unbelievable. And then you find out what's happening behind the scenes, and it makes what's happening in front of the cameras so believable. Yeah. Well, these guys like each other. One guy hit another guy with a chair. That's what you do. You don't like a girl and then shit on her head. That usually does. If that happened in an episode of Raw, first of all,
Yeah. There was another guy, John Laurinaitis, very high-ranking guy.
His son
very
played
high.
in the NFL.
That's
I think,
exactly
right.
right. I think it might have been a nephew.
Okay, but they were the Road Warriors or something.
Road
They had the
Warrior-
spiked shoulder
Oh,
pads.
Road Warrior Animal is
Yeah.
his brother. And
Okay.
Road Warrior Animal's son, I
Okay.
believe, played for the Rams. Might even still play. Very good player.
Yeah, Jacob Laurinaitis or something.
Yeah, but I'm just sharing, like, and Laurinaitis has been, goes back to the 70s. He's been around forever. When his career was over, he went into the office, and he was part of, like Vince really, like, during office hours, for him and Laurinaitis to go into the woman's office. Everybody's out here working. Like, this is shut the door. Everybody, I'm just sharing that it was a cultural thing. So Laurinaitis gets hit in this. And Laurinaitis took a very interesting defense. He lawyered up and he said, I am a victim. I, too, was paid by Vince. And I, too, if I did not show up for these acts, whether I was the one doing this or the one doing that, I did not want to be there. Yeah, he said, I didn't want to be there.
It's kind of
And
believable,
I also
to be honest
would have been
with
fired.
It's kind of believable, to be honest with you.
I didn't want to fuck this hot girl we hired to fuck.
Yeah, but I don't do it with Vince every time.
That's funny.
I'll do it on my own accord.
There's
Yo.
twins. The Bella twins.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Legion of Doom, that's
Laurinaitis
what they were.
is the stepfather to the Bella twins. So he's very tied to this. He
Yeah.
And he hasn't denied that any of this. I mean, it was right during office hours. Linda's walked in when Vince is, she said,
I will say that-
and finished. She's like, finished what she went to the filing cabinet and got it out as he's got. And I'm going back to the 80s, and I don't even know
Yo,
the dude.
shouts
And
to
I'm telling
Linda,
you
yo.
the story.
Shouts to Linda, yo. I put her on my president's cabinet.
Yes, that's
Keep
right.
a secret. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get some files out of it while I'm doing what I got to do.
Now, this is wild. I will say the WWE female wrestlers, if you're judging by like then and now, like China versus what they got now,
Sure.
which are these beautiful
Yeah, of
girls,
course.
Sure.
it would let you believe that,
What?
That
there's
Vince
some
is out.
extracurricular activities happening.
Sure.
That's all I'm trying to say.
Damn, you didn't want to crack China's
I,
shit?
well, no,
No,
I think
I-
Trips was getting that.
No, it makes me believe Vince is out because now they look much less like dudes. So if you're fucking them, you know what I mean? You want to fuck
Sure.
them.
Well, we got to know what this girl who's alleging looks like. That's a good ass point, though.
She's 40, by the way,
Is
which
she?
only surprised me. He's the much younger
Yo,
one. Like,
yo,
there's a
that's
lot
the
of
most
these divas-
disgusting part of this
Right.
whole thing.
That's surprising, at least. It's at least a little bit surprising when you find that part of it out. But I lost my train of thought because I think maybe even 42. I remember saying, "What? Did they? You remember that? It was what my father-in-law Steve and I are watching this. He took a dump on her head, and we're giggling to each other, and we're trying to speak in code because my 8-year-old son's in the back, as we're like trying to have this, and then we find out she's 42, and we're like, oh, it's typo. 20? You mean 24? Quite frankly, but I think she looks closer to 24. But and that's new Vince. See, that's not the dirtbag. The dirtbag's over here. The new Vince with the mustache. See, he did not do anything wrong.
He looks so
this
much
guy's
creepier.
innocent.
Yeah, no, this guy's innocent. In fact, he looked back at that Vincent K. McMahon and thinks, "What a dirtbag." This is somebody else, though.
Yeah.
He did this in front of the world. He came out with a new look and a new catchphrase
What was the
and
new
it worked.
catchphrase?
I don't even know what it was, but he did it. He actually took on Pat McAfee at WrestleMania. I've never seen Vince look so bad. He couldn't move. He ruined the show. And Pat McAfee, who had never done it before, made the match work. Like, if you ever want to see Pat's true wow skill, it was him versus Vince. Vince couldn't move. There was a time when Andre the Giant had to hold the rope because he'd fall down. So he couldn't wrestle him, but they had to come over to him, and he couldn't let go of the rope. Vince wasn't far off. It
Really?
was bad. He should not have. It was bad. And Pat carried him. Pat's got no experience, and Pat carried him and made the match work. Yeah.
Wait, but that was this past WrestleMania?
Yeah, that was 2. Vince is out for this one. This was the
yeah,
first
yeah.
one with Trips. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I saw a couple people on Twitter. Well, I was looking at wrestling Twitter randomly, I think, to research a story or something. But they seem to really like Triple H. It said Vince. It's better off without Vince.
Yep.
A lot of people seem to.
Oh,
think.
so people like the new management.
They see Trips as a great executive. Yeah, that he's there, he's available, he understands things. If he gives you an answer, you can count on it. They came out to Portland just recently, and I worked with the commission, so we were there before anybody else. And Trips was there. I mean, when the guys were in the ring early and kind of going over their spots, and they have a meal before they change, and there was no other executives there, and there's Trips. He's with the boys. He traveled out to. Yeah, I think that Trips. I think he really likes what he does, and I think he must be pretty damn good because that's a competitive business.
Yeah,
it takes a lot. Like the idea of replacing Dana is not something that I haven't met the person.
Yeah.
I haven't met the person because they can't put in the time. They're not going to go 7 days a week, 18 hours a day. They're not. They're going to require as humans more sleep than Dana does. Yeah. And the same could really be said for Vince. Yeah. Vince would fire somebody if they yawned. He couldn't understand. He couldn't understand why somebody needed sleep. He didn't know why he needed sleep. It infuriated him. Why? Why would God make? Why do we need to sleep? And if somebody would yawn in a meeting that's at like 3 a.m., you tired of making money? Yeah, he'd turn on him. He'd get
really?
Yeah, and it was legit. He didn't understand.
It does make sense, though, that he took a popular figure from wrestling to replace him.
Yeah.
Because as the owner of the business, you also need to be a personality that represents the business. And I think that's something that people probably underestimate with Dana. Is like Dana is a personality. He can be the face of the business. Yep. He is the celebrity CEO, if you will. Yeah. Right? And 100%. He needs to be able to do a podcast with people for hours and answer questions and be entertaining and go up and talk to media. Triple H can do that because he spent decades in the spotlight honing that skill and that craft. If you just hire some geek, someone who would run like a basketball team or something like that, yeah, they can do it behind the scenes. They can look at the X's and O's and they can look at the numbers, but they can't be that personality.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like there's other guys that could do the paperwork, but to come out and be a promoter, it's a rare thing.
That shit is hard.
I mean, even Don King.
I was about to say.
But he was being silly.
But
he did
he's
this.
out
He was
there
being
with the
silly.
fucking flags. And
it was short. He couldn't sit down in a podcast format. It was silly. He had a quick thing, and it worked for many years. And
people
it took a long time. Bob Arum never got it. De La Hoya never got it. Eddie Hearn does to a degree.
I feel
but
like
they're still
De La Hoya is like flirting with it now.
Yeah.
Like he's like realizes how people see him. And he's like kind of talking about his past and kind of talking about like what he went through. I feel like he's not trying to uphold the golden boy image. Like he's like, okay, that's done. Now everybody knows that I was a degenerate cocaine addict that loved fucking, and I could also beat people up. All right.
Yep.
Now, like I feel like he's almost like he had a moment with Canelo in promoting Canelo's last fight. I guess he was also the promoter of the guy who was fighting Canelo, where Canelo started cursing at him and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, are you getting this?
Yep.
Nobody knows who this fighter that you represent is, but Canelo's now fighting with you. Yep. So I wonder if Oscar is.
And Ryan Garcia has also turned on Oscar. You saw that miniseries they made on Oscar. It was a true story. Like Oscar helped him with it, but we were so close. We were like so close to getting there. He revealed to the world what a scumbag he is, which can be a really good counseling session. And like we were so close to this actually helping. And right at the end, one of the last things he says is he goes, I look back, all the bad things, terrible father, didn't see his kids. I mean, the worst things you could do. And says, but I wonder if it was wrong. Maybe it was all worth it to get us here because we're all so happy and successful. Whatever it was, like right at the end, he didn't take any responsibility. All he had to do was out himself, tell the truth, and then take responsibility.
Almost learned a lesson.
Heel. He was
so
this
close.
He's a heel.
Have you ever met Vince or any of these big wrestlers?
No. Stone Cold comes to some of the events. The Rock comes to the events. I've actually never met him. I've walked past him. He's been at our fights. I've walked past him, but never met him. I got to go to a WrestleMania after party once. And so I met, just real quickly, but Bret Hart was there and Roman Reigns was there. John Cena was there. Randy Orton was the nicest guy. Randy Orton was the cool guy. He was on the dance floor, man. He was cutting a rug all night. Orton was great. But past Rikishi and some other, they don't know us though. It's not the same thing. Like where I knew each and every one of these guys and remember them to this day and remember the brief interaction I had, even if it was just hello. It's not the same.
Who's the greatest of all time?
Professional wrestler?
Yeah.
Well, I believe in professional wrestling, whoever made the most money is the best.
Because
And that's Hulk Hogan. And they said that he didn't know the difference between a wrist lock and a wristwatch, that he was going to hit you with the right hand and drop that leg. He was never going to hit actual wrestling moves or anything hard. That's what they said. But I like the guys that brawled. I like wrestling back when it looked like a competition. Now it looks like a performance. It looks like a cooperation that's a performance. I don't like that. I don't like triple backflips off the into the tables and things like this. I think it's weird. I liked it back when it was a fight. I liked that Hogan threw right hands and moves that if you were in a fight, you would actually use.
Yeah.
Pick a guy up and throw him down and then kick him while he's down. I like those things. So I say Hogan. If you wanted to like the absolute best technician, boy, they got a guy right now named Seth Rollins. For Seth to be number one, he's got to be better than Bret Hart. He's got to be better than Shawn Michaels, which he might not be. Those guys were good, but he also might be. Seth might be number one. He is incredible athlete. He could have gone into anything and done very well. He just somehow found wrestling. But I think that it's important that you look at it from that perspective. And that might sound silly, the guy that made the most money, but
no, it's not real.
True in everything.
Yeah.
Like,
that's also a great
wouldn't
point.
it be The Rock?
right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be The Rock that made the most?
Well, and now, yeah, that's right. Like, I would imagine The Rock's come on. They say Stone Cold just on his merchandise.
Wow.
You know, they say that
Cena must be close.
Yeah, and Hogan didn't really have a chance, by the way. Like, not everything was pay-per-view. They had closed caption, and Vince was the first one with the WrestleMania to bring that out. So I'm just saying, like his whole era. Muhammad Ali, by example, has no records. Well, they also didn't have pay-per-view back then. Like, it's not as though pay-per-views beat him. It didn't exist back then.
Yeah.
You watched a Muhammad Ali fight by gathering around a transistor radio.
Yep.
It's just a very different time. So, you could be right that The Rock has passed him up. I would think that is correct.
I wonder how that worked out. Like when they did those fights abroad, the gate can't be worth much, right? Because you're fighting in the third world country. You can't charge that much money for tickets, or else who's going to show up?
Right.
And the exchange rate is dog shit.
Yeah. So like, I guess what was it? It must have been TV rights that paid the fighters, and
Had
then
to have been.
had to be.
Yeah, it had to be.
So
right.
it's distribution, and everybody's just watching on NBC or wherever the hell they're watching it. Got it. And I'm sure there was some sponsors for the events, and then the fighters, I imagine, just weren't making the type of money that the fighters.
Yeah, I don't think they understood. Again, bring it to NFL, which is what I know.
Yeah.
The NFL just had like a deal with CBS to broadcast the games.
Right.
And then Jerry Jones actually was the guy that was like, no, we can shop this around and make a lot more money. And that's how the money has gotten crazy in NFL and NBA. TV rights. So shop it. This is a bidding war now.
Distribution's a very hard business to know. Like, there's not a lot of people. There's not even a lot of books on it. But even the UFC that sold to ESPN for $1.5 billion, that all got announced and was public. But if you look a little closer, that was a North American deal. If ESPN in Mexico wants to show, it's a whole nother fee.
Wow.
Or if Dana wants to take it and sell it to somebody that isn't ESPN, he wants to do that in Germany or Switzerland or.
So you maintain the international rights for it.
Yeah. Wow. So all of a sudden, like, you get these places that come out and brag. PFL and Don Davis were very excited. They're like, we're in 68 different countries, but that's a really big deal because it's 68 different
checks.
Deal. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's
and I don't know a lot about that, and I don't know anybody I can call and ask. I don't have any friends. I don't have any family. There's not really anybody out there where you can learn about that. It's that's where the real competitive part of the business comes. Then if you're in pay-per-view, the theft rate right now is so high. You really can't do
people
a pay-per-view.
downloading illegally,
Showing it on TikTok, having certain websites you can go to, and so Dana's got this infrastructure, and he's
just outing myself. I don't pay for pay-per-views.
Hey, it's one of those things.
If we've met the fighter, I'll pay, and if we haven't,
yeah.
No, I have to every single time. It's too much. They go through too much, man. That shit is too crazy.
I was in France for what do you think
I know, right?
That was what a performance.
I know. Thank you for calling him out on that. Thank you for calling him out.
All that means is he saw the warning by the FBI at the end of the show for $250,000.
Let me try again. Let me try again. Do you know what those guys go through in there? They go through. Hold on, let me get both lines out. Let me try again. Yeah, I just can't. I can't steal it. I mean, those guys. Yeah, they're getting punched and kicked and choked. Something would happen at a WWE office. I mean, what does one cost? What pay-per-view?
The ones that you buy every.
I think they're about like $25 now, aren't they?
They're about $25.
Got to buy every single one.
I feel like we got one more. Let's take one more on that.
Or can you do that through your remote control?
I do it right through the remote. Yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
Because
I can watch it on my Nintendo
everyone
Switch.
else has to go to the .com.
Yeah, I don't.
Special remote?
Yeah, it's a special remote. I feel like when a guy's willing to sacrifice that much and be in that ring like that, and if you don't, you're taking money. He's giving up his life. The least you can do is give him a few dollars. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And if you do get it wrong, you get a teleportation device, you go back in time. And if you believe that, you must be kind of stupid.